Hey you guys, welcome to my channel. We're going to be doing a very pinup inspired look today. Very glam, very Gwen Stefani-esque if I do say so myself. If you want to find out how to get this look, just keep watching. So we're going to go in with our primer first. I am using the L'Oreal Radiance Boost Primer. Generally I would do my primer about 10 minutes before I go in with my makeup, but my hair took a lot out of me, so we're going to go on ahead and do our primer right before we put on our foundation, and it'll be fine. So I'm going to make sure that I get it all the way down the neck, all over my face, pretty much everywhere that I'm going to put my foundation. I'm going to wipe off my hands and go in with that foundation. We're going to apply it like we would war paint, and then we're going to blend that all in. I am using Clinique Beyond Perfecting foundation, and I am going a bit excessively. Again, I'm doing that because this is going to be a very, very, very full coverage look. I don't want to see any natural skin peeking through, no blemishes, no freckles. I want it to look flawless. So we're going to take our hands and be very careful not to create any streaking lines or any type of patchiness. We're going to kind of go in circular motions and blend till perfection. After we're done making sure that we get the foundation all over the face and the neck, we're going to use our hands to sort of pat it in like you would a beauty blender, just to get off any excess product onto your hands. Once I'm done with that, I will wipe off my hands and go in with concealer. For concealer, I'm going to apply it in a different war pattern this time, and I'm going to be using the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye Concealer. I love this concealer. And for pressing this into the skin, I am going to use a beauty blender. I love using a beauty blender with my concealer. If you use your hands and you do use dabbing motions, it just takes a lot longer. And if you don't use dabbing motions, you will pull away the foundation that you took so much time placing earlier. So beauty blender for the concealer is a must for me. And again, I'm just going to make sure that it is absolutely perfect. After I'm done with that, I am going to wipe my hands again. I'm going to wipe my lips to prepare them for the lipstick that I'll be placing on later on. And then we're going to go in with a cream contour. This is a Wet n Wild contour from Mega Glow. I usually don't use a cream contour, but I wanted to create a base for the powder contour that I'm going to be doing later on, and I figured that this would be a good start. So using the same beauty blender that I used for the concealer, I'm going to just go on ahead and dab that into the areas that I want to create a more stark shadow, like my forehead and my cheekbone where you see right there. And I will be also doing this on my nose, just down the sides of the nose and down the very base of the nose or tip or whatever. And we're going to be doing this exact same thing, just blending that in until it looks like a natural shadow on the face. And then after we are done with that, we're going to be going in with powder. It just goes poof every time I open it. Anyways, I'm going to be going in a little bit, what's the word I would like to use? Excessive, I guess. I'm not going to, I'm sparing no expense with my powder, I guess you should say. I'm sparing no expense really with anything today. I want to make sure that my makeup is absolutely perfectly set. I don't want it to budge. Everywhere that you put foundation and concealer, put that powder. After that is done, I'm going to be using a L'Oreal Frame and Set for my eyebrows. For my eyebrows, I don't really like a tapered eyebrow look. I like to make sure that all the lines and angles are sharp, but not too sharp. I'm also going to elongate the tail of the brow just a little bit. I'm going to use the brush side to create those angles and then the spoolie to blend everything out, And after I'm done with that, of course, everything you do on one eye, do on the other eye. Again, you could see that tail was a little bit longer, but it wasn't so long that it was too obvious. It was just a little bit more bold and dramatic. I do have plans tonight, and I want my makeup to look a little bit, different and unique and fun since I am going downtown. So again, same thing. I'm going to draw a line on the bottom of that brow, on the top of the brow, on the angle of the brow, and also on the very front of the brow, and just blend everything out. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to be using a blush. This blush I'm actually going to be using for a contour. I really don't care that it's a blush and not a contour. I'm going to be using a powder brush to apply this blush, and I'm going to squish it in between my fingers and draw it on that line and then waft it upwards. My hair is getting in the way. And once I feel like that is nice and blended, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, squishing the brush between my fingers, wafting it upwards until I feel like it's nice and blended. And then I will also be doing this on the forehead, and then I'm going to waft it down. I'm going to go a little bit more lightly on the forehead than I did on the cheeks, and it does look a little bit harsh at this moment in time, but it will look more blended a little bit later on. So now I'm going to be going in with an actual blush. This is by L'Oreal. And I do love this blush, but I feel like it loses its pigment after a little while, so I'm going to show you a little trick later on in the video. So I'm going to use my fingers to sort of blend that in a little bit more. Now what you see me doing is checking my brushes to see if there's any product on them that I don't want to come through. It would be nothing worse than getting blue where you wanted a brown, or green where you wanted a yellow or red. It'll just muddle the color and it will ruin all the hard work that we did before. So I'm going to use this blush to do a little bit more contour with my Milani palette, and that sort of ashy brown grayish color is a perfect color for my skin tone to be sort of like a shadow on the face. So that's what I'm going to use for my contour, and I'm going to go back in with my powder blush and nothing extra on that brush. And then we're going to just push that into the skin and blend that out as though we never applied that product in the first place. Once we're done with that, I'm going to start with the eyes. I'm using my Candy Johnson palette, and I believe that is a Morphe R32 brush. And we're going to take banana cream pie and ice cream, and we're going to waft that all over the lid area. Now, because I am so pale, it's very difficult for me to get a white color onto my lid that will really show up. So I'm going to go over this with a different white in just a minute, but I am going to do sort of like a cut crease look, not an obvious cut crease, but just a very slight one. And so I do want to create more of a white color on my eye. And so I'm going in with this Lux palette, and that's what I'm doing here with that very, very white color you see there. I'm just applying this on the lid only. And then after I'm done with that, I'm going to go with a different brush and go in with this like sandy and taupe looking colors over here to the right. And then I'm going to create that cut crease. I am going to go very, very gently at first. We're going to build this color up using darker colors and then blending it all out. You'll see what I mean in just a minute here. So I just want to create that cut crease on both sides of the eye. I'm going to go in with my Jaclyn Hill palette and use those two very dark colors, that dark brown, that dark purple, and very, very, very gently press that in right where I want that cut crease to be. After we have done that, we're going to blend it out. I do use my fingers if I feel like it's getting out of control, and then I go back in with a brush and just blend that very gently. I don't want to bring it onto the lid, I just want to bring it up to the top. Now I'm going to take a brush that has nothing on it and waft all that color out yet again. This time I am being a little messy with it because I'm going to go back in later on and reinforce that white. And again, I'm just building that shadow. So this shade in the Milani palette is just perfect for a shadow. It's not too pigmented that it comes out so brown on the eye, and it just blends beautifully. So once I have done that, I'm going to go back in with my Candy Johnson palette and take these two white shades here and put them over the eyelid. Now again, it's just a slight cut crease. It's almost like a natural shadow on the face. Like I have said, I don't know how many times now. So anyways, doing a little dance, shaking it off, moving on, we are going to go in. Oh, I think I hit something in the back there. Alright, now we're going to roll up our sleeves and go in with eyeliner. Now I do want to stress with you guys, I took a lot of time on every aspect of this makeup. This is not something that I rushed through in any way, so don't feel like you're messing up if you're trying to brush through this. It definitely did not take me the 15 minutes that this video took. So we're going to do little streaks on each side of the eye, and I am going to put on falsies, so I am going into the inner corner of the eye, which I never do. But for today, for the falsies, just to hide that track, we're going to make sure that we put a thin, thin, thin line. Now, I'm not going to start my wing until I feel like both of my eyes have been lined correctly before the wing starts. And for my wing, I'm actually going to be doing a Marilyn Monroe trick, where she pulls it upwards. Instead of dragging it all along to the outside of the eye line, she's going to pull it upwards, and that's where my wing is going to start above the lash line. Now that I can see better, we're going to start the wing. For my wing, because I have hooded eyes, I do it differently all the time. And this one I wanted to be very, very pointy, very spiky, and very elven-like, if that makes sense. If you know what I mean, I don't know, it makes sense to me. So that's my favorite wing to do. Sometimes I can't manage it. I will show you a little trick that I do sometimes, and that is I use a Q-tip. So once I have both wings in place and they're even, I'm going to dampen a Q-tip here, and I'm going to very, very gently elongate that wing and correct any sharpness. It's sort of like using the tape trick, but I love using the Q-tip because as long as you're not dragging off any of your foundation or concealer or powder, it will just be such a beautiful effect. It'll just look so natural and so sharp. Now I'm going to thicken up that eyeliner just a tiny bit. This wing is going to very much complement the eyelashes that I'm going to be putting on later. So I don't want to do a super thick wing. Again, I do have hooded eyes. I just want to do a very sharp, very flirty little wing on the edge of both eyes. Now that I'm done with that, eyeliner can be so difficult sometimes, we are ready to go in with our lipstick. Now for the lipsticks, I'm going to be using two different ones. These are long-lasting matte lipsticks. This first one is Too Faced Candy Johnson Sweet and Sour. I love this lipstick, but I am so pale that a lot of the time it is much too bright on me. So I'm going to be going in also with a Maybelline 24-Hour Stay lipstick in So Sienna. And I love this lipstick alone, but together it goes from a bright red to a very rouge red, and I'm telling you, this combination does not budge. I ate a burger, I drank some beers, I was out for hours, and my lipstick was perfect. Just love this two together. It's just amazing. So I'm going to wipe my hands and make sure I get all that lipstick off of my hands in case I touch my face. I do not want to get it on my face at all. So I'm going to go in back with my Milani palette and use the shade on the right and the shade on the left as a highlighter. I was not going for subtle today, as you can see. I was going for drama. So we're going to blend those two shades down the nose, not on the tip of the nose, but a little bit on the Cupid's bow. And I'm going to take my fingers and just blend that out until I find that it is beautifully set and wonderfully put. And as you can see, do the same thing on both sides. You don't want to have highlight on one side and not on the other side. Now that that is done, I am quite nervous because I know that I'm going to have to go in with my falsies. So I'm going to put on a little bit of mascara on each eye, let that set, and go on ahead and put the falsies on. Now because I did the 10-day falsie challenge, I'm not really going to show you guys how long it took me to do this or anything. I just wanted to show you that I was able to do it, and I've never done it before. I've never actually gone out like this, shaking it off, got to shake the nervousness off. I've never actually done this before, but I was very, very happy with the results, and I just wanted to show you guys that practice really does make perfect. So here I am placing the one eye, and then very shortly afterwards I'll be placing the other eye. And then we only have a few more steps to go in this makeup tutorial, and then we will be done. So after I have done this, I'm going to show you kind of a few little tips and tricks that I have learned from doing my makeup. I'm going to, I said I can't believe I did it. I'm going to set my face. Now I am an excessive face setter. If your hair is not wet, then you're not doing it right. That's just kind of my motto. So once I have set my face, I'm going to go on ahead and put on some more blush. Now I find that while your face is still a little bit wet and you put on a little bit more blush, it really makes that blush stick and it doesn't go anywhere. If you have a blush that you feel just sort of rubs off during the day, then try this trick and I promise it'll work for you. Also, I make sure that I set my face first before I do my mascara, which is what I'm doing here. If I do my mascara and then set my face, it's more likely to transfer. If I let my face dry and then do my mascara, it doesn't transfer. I promise you, it just works for me. I love that trick. Now, last but not least, I'm going to draw another thin line over those tracks just to hide them very, very well. And we are done. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that y'all enjoyed this. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And stick around for my next tutorial. Thank you guys so much for watching. How'd my vanity get such a mess? Beauty contest. I'm obsessed.